Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of the Weekend Crusaders. My name's Sean Waskerg, and with me, as always, is Brian Michaels. We have a very, I don't want to say unique, but it's a very good episode today. We have different genres. Exactly. Like last week, we had the all comedy episode, and we've kind of figured out that through the last 2 months, because we're now 2 months into the show, that we tend to steer towards really close to one specific genre each week. But this one, I think we kind of cover a little bit of almost everything this week. So we have some good films to talk about this week and a stinker. Stinker. It's going to be a good week. We're going to go ahead and we're going to start with my pick. And this is, we're going to say it's the feel-good sports movie. I know about you. I love feel-good sports movies as much as the next person, if not maybe more. This one came out in 2015, and that is Eddie the Eagle. Eddie the Eagle came out February 26th. 2006. Did I say 16 or 15? 16. 2016, my bad. Had a budget of $23 million, had a weekend opening of $6 million, was number 6 behind Deadpool in its third week, Gods of Egypt in its first week, Kung Fu Panda 3 in its first week, Risen in its second week, 999 in its first week, had a finished budget of $46.15 million, $15.78 million domestic, and $30.36 million international. Now for me, Eddie the Eagle, I love Taron. Is it Egerton or Edgerton?
One of the two. I've heard it pronounced both ways.
It's oh boy. I love Taron Egerton. I'm gonna say Edgerton. I don't care. From Kingsman, I actually like him in Sing. I think he was a fantastic Elton John and Rocket Man. This is one of those kind of, I would say, quieter films for him. I don't think it got as big of a kind of praise or big of a publicity for it. It's kind of one of those weird ones where he's not the I don't want to call him a sexual icon, but I mean, clearly with Eggsy, because Eggsy, he's supposed to be sexy. He's supposed to be like the new Bond, and he's a good-looking guy, but they make him kind of.
No, I laughed because for a minute I thought you were talking about Eddie and calling him a sexual icon. What?
No.
Eddie the Eagle is a sexual icon?
No, Taron Egerton. I meant that's what I meant. But yeah, he's playing Eddie. What's Eddie's last name?
Michael Eddie Edwards.
Eddie
Edwards is his last name.
Oh, is it? Okay, yeah. So Eddie
Michael's
Edwards.
His first name, technically.
Yeah. So he's playing Eddie Edwards, and basically it's a true story of Eddie Edwards, who's a young boy who really his lifelong goal is to just participate in the Olympics, not to win a gold medal, not to be memorized or in memoriam of everything of the Olympics, but just to be a part of it. That's his goal. He wants to be one of the legends that have made it to the Olympics, and that's his lifelong goal. And he's always tried to do it for skiing, but because he's not part of the rich schools and prominent stuff like that, the British Olympic Committee doesn't want him to be a part of it. So he basically becomes a ski jumper, Is it long jumper or ski jumper? I think it's just ski jumper.
Ski jumper.
Yeah, because the English team doesn't have one, and so he basically is a one-man team. And he basically gets the help of Hugh Jackman's character, Hugh Jackman is Bronson Perry, who was a U.S. ski jumper, to basically help him find basically his goal of making it to the Olympics. That's basically the movie. Long story short, I think Eddie the Eagle, is it one of the best sports movies out there? No, absolutely not. But I think it's a decent film. It's heartwarming because you got a character like Eddie who's constantly just been looked down on his whole life. He's awkward as hell. He really just does not know how to talk to people really well, except for his mom. But he's determined as hell to reach his goal and do what he wants to do. And effectively, if anyone who see the trailers know, he makes his goal. He makes it to the Olympics. But yeah, I mean, Hugh Jackman, I think, does a solid role in this. I mean, with Hugh Jackman, he's got to me, he's got 3 lanes. He's got Wolverine. He's got kind of like the musical Broadway-esque kind of performance character. And then you got kind of like the heartwarming character. I don't think he does a really good villain. I don't think he was really good in District 9 or Chappie. think it was Chappie. He was the bad guy in, but I think he has a real good.
I would also make a case for his rom-com roles are pretty good too.
Yes, okay, I'll agree with you on that. But I mean, I like this movie and like Real Steel. I think he does a real good job of being like that motivational father figure, even though he's not a father figure to Eddie. He's probably more like an older brother kind of thing. But I think Hugh Jackman does a really great job in these kinds of roles. And Taron Egerton shows that he can do more than just at the time, Kingsman. He can play a character that is the underdog and not doing stuff off of his looks, but kind of just persevering through life and reaching the goal, no matter how many people tell him he can't do it. Brian, what are your thoughts on Eddie the Eagle?
I thought Eddie the Eagle was harmless. I think it's okay. I think it's obviously a very formulaic film. I mean, it's a sports film, inspirational film. They're all kind of have the same thing. This one I thought was especially a little bit because it was very much almost like just a copy of Cool Runnings, which they even referenced. It was at the same Olympics. They even referenced the Jamaican bobsled team in this movie. But I mean, you have the athletes who aren't really good at the sports. They try to participate in a sport that their country doesn't have a team at. They go there. They have the disgraced athlete who is willing to take over and help coach them, and then he obviously has conflict with his previous coach and all that kind of thing. So I mean, it's a lot of parallels to that. So I mean, is original? No. I didn't dislike it. The only thing that got me, this is probably just age because I'm getting too old. But like early on in the film, when like he's doing really awful, and they're like, his parents especially like, you're going to kill yourself. It's not going to happen for you. It's time to like be realistic and get a real career. Part of me's going, why are they considered the villains of this movie? Because they're all right. I think you should stop too. But that's just because me and I'm jaded.
It's not his mom; it's his dad. His mom.
Yeah, it's his dad, and then like some of the people around him too, and the other athletes and coaches are like, hey, it's not going to happen for you, Eddie. And I just think it's the kind of thing where it's like, yes, he gets to go and participate in this. It's a feel good thing, but it almost feels patronizing, kind of like how Rudy, like, oh, let him go do one play in the last game of the thing. It's like, this is the Olympics. Is it about, hey, let's let everybody play? No, it's supposed to be the best athletes in the world. But anyway, it is what it is.
That's why in real life, after this Olympics, they literally created the Eddie the Eagle rule. That like this story actually set a rule stating no longer can this happen. You have to be in the top 30% of each sport. So like in terms of like with Cool Runnings, which I love that in the middle of this movie when they started to talk about it, like he shuts the radio off because like, no, we don't want you thinking about Cool Runnings. But I thought that was funny.
It's like they might as well acknowledge it because everyone's going to make the comparison.
Well, they did, but as soon as they did, they shut the radio off. Like no, but this movie instituted that. Like this is like by the end of this film, like yes, he does accomplish his goals. He finishes last in both things, but after this they made a rule, and it literally is called the Eddie the Eagle rule that stops these athletes who aren't up to the caliber of what the Olympics should be, and stops them from being able to do this. So I mean, if anything, this movie basically stopped the kind of the underdog story. It's like, no, we ain't having this no more. We're done with this crap. You have to be the best of the best.
But I mean, in that respect, it was kind of like, okay, whatever. But it's just supposed to be an inspirational movie, and it's fine. I mean, there are still moments where even I get kind of really into it, and like I said, the performances are good. Hugh Jackman does kind of do that whole kind of reluctant, grizzled mentor kind of role pretty well. Because he kind of, he's helping him at the same time. He's kind of, taking jabs at him the whole time.
He's basically Wolverine without the mutant ability.
Kind of, yeah. So I mean, it was enjoyable. It's not a great movie, but I don't regret watching it. It was.
Yeah, I think it's
lighthearted.
I think it's a solid film. Like I say, it's not going to be up at the ranks of motivational sports films, but for the weekend, when I saw Eddie the Eagle, I was like, I'll talk about this. I don't think none of people talk about this movie. Still one of the best moments of the movie. It's a quiet moment. I think it does really great. It's in the trailers. But one of my favorite moments is when he's a little kid and he's leaving home and his mom goes, "Where are you going?" And he goes, I'm going to be in the Olympics. And like it's a cute little moment when he's a kid, but honestly, when he's
the callback though is a great scene.
Is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It gets me kind of emotional for like that brief moment when he's going to the Olympics for real, and his mom goes, "Where do you think you're going?" And he's just like, "The Olympics," and it's like, oh, it's such a great moment.
Well, even more so than that at the end when he references it again, that's the moment that got me. Yeah.
Yeah, they do a really great job.
I think my other favorite moment of the film, and this isn't spoiling anything, but my other favorite moment of the film is when he is in like the elevator going to the top of the jump with the world champion, like what's he, Swedish
the guy who's clearly gonna win the whole thing.
Yeah, and he's going up there with him, and they could have easily made him out to be like the villain of the movie who it makes fun of him or mocks him or whatever. But he's not. He's like hey, I get you. You're doing your best. You want to perform your best. You have to. You're not satisfied unless you can challenge yourself. And he's like a supporting character. I really kind of like that they didn't go the generic way.
I wish we had more of him, but having more of him probably would have taken away because the first time he meets Eddie, Eddie wants an autograph and the guy blows him off. You're like, okay, this is going to be a character that we're going to deal with, but we don't. We don't deal with him the whole rest of the way until that moment. And that moment is like, it's not about winning or losing. It's about pushing yourself and making sure you do the best of your ability. And he goes, Eddie, are you doing your best? And Eddie goes, yes, I am. He goes, you are just like me.
Yeah, you're just like
that's such a powerful moment.
Yeah, it's really like that they didn't go the easy route of making him like the antagonist. I mean, instead, more actually his own fellow British athletes were the ones that were the antagonists.
Exactly. It's literally just mutual respect among athletes. It's not that you have to be the best or you have to win all the medals and win all the trophies, stuff like that. It's seeing the hunger and the drive and the fight that is the matter of the respect between these two, which is really what the Olympics should be more about, is the respect of the drive to try to be the best, and not like winning the gold medal. Yes, that's main focus, but it's like you're representing your country. He's the only one doing that in this competition. No one else could do it. Could they have gotten someone better to probably train? Sure. But he was the only one willing to do that. Frankly, they should have stopped him when he kept crashing over and over and over.
He should have died many times over.
You're done. You're not allowed to do this anymore. But they just let him keep, lawsuits, guys. Like, stop this kid from going up there. Like, especially when he went on the 70-footer? I was like,
there's the 40, the 70, and then the 90. Yeah.
Like when he did the 70 for the first time, like they should have been like, no, you're banned. You're not allowed to practice. Like they should have done that. Instead, they chewed out Hugh Jackman, who really did nothing wrong. Like he didn't tell him to do it. He said, "Don't do it. You're gonna die." And he went up and did it anyway. And they blamed Hugh Jackman for it. But yeah, like Eddie the Eagle, like I said. Is it a perfect film? No, I think it's a decent film. But even while you were saying that you're like with the movie, you're pointing out moments that you love.
Yeah, no, there's definitely things I enjoyed about it. Yeah,
that's the great thing about it. So Eddie the Eagle, I don't think it's on any streaming service.
Disney Plus.
I was gonna say, it's a Disney movie.
But it was originally a Fox movie. Disney owns it now and is on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so it's on Disney Plus. If you guys want to check out, especially. Olympics are supposed to be coming back this summer, but I mean,
maybe.
People are training for it, and they're saying they're going to come back. I really find it hard to believe that they wouldn't be doing the Olympics and they're allowing the NFL, NBA, and baseball to do their things.
Yeah, it'll be the same thing. They'll have competition without audiences, but anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Eddie the Eagle is on Disney Plus. Going to our next film, this is. Brian's pick, and I told Brian last week, I was like, I had never seen this movie and I didn't know how to pitch it when we were talking about our teases for this week. And you said it was a dramedy. And I basically said it's very John Hughes like. You're like, well, don't give it away because this is written by John Hughes, not directed, but it is written by John Hughes. And that is the 1987, I'm going to call it a teen
high school
flick. Yeah, it's a teen flick. Some Kind of Wonderful. Some Kind of Wonderful came out February 27th, 1987. We could not find the budget for this film. We looked. So we're guessing it's between 10 and 15 million because that's where it seemed to kind of be for most of John
Hughes. Other kind of Hughes. Yeah.
Yeah, John Hughes-esque films. We kind of guesstimated. But it had an opening weekend of $3.48 million. It was number 6 behind Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors in its first week, Platoon in its 11th week, Outrageous Fortune in its 5th week, Mannequin in its 3rd week, and Hoosiers in its 16th week. Damn. Finished the box office at $18.55 million. Brian, this was your pick. I was very reluctant to watch this. But I'm going to go ahead and hand the reins over to you. What are your thoughts on Some Kind of Wonderful? Because it was your pick.
So Some Kind of Wonderful is a movie written and produced by John Hughes, although he did not direct it. That was a man named Howard Deutsch, who you might know because of Zoe Deutsch. That's his father, because he and her mom, Leah Thompson, met on this movie. Creepy, a little bit, but look past
there is an age difference.
Basically, it's a kind of a teen. It's definitely got comedy to it. It's just not fully drama, not fully comedy. It's kind of more aligned to like a John Hughes' Pretty in Pink. You know, some of those kind of movies where it's not the slapsticky of Breakfast Club or 16 Candles, but it's not serious drama either. It's essentially Eric Stoltz plays this boy Keith. He's in high school, and he's kind of considered the outsider. You know, he's the outcast. But he has a crush on, like, of course, the school, head cheerleader played by Leah Thompson. He has a best friend, Watts, who is played by Mary Stuart Masterson. She secretly has this crush on him, as we realize more and more throughout the movie. But he's just kind of considers her one of the guys because she dresses very tomboyish. She plays drums.
She has short hair, so naturally people think.
Yeah, she very much goes for the tomboy look. She even talks about trying to be a tomboy, and so he kind of considered one of the guys his best friend, and basically he ends up getting a date with Amanda, played by Leah Thompson, essentially because she's having a fight with her actual boyfriend, and she kind of accepts a date with him just to kind of piss off her boyfriend. So then he wants to create this perfect date and take her on this date and try to win her over so she can really fall in love with him. He enlists the help of his friend Watts to help him kind of create the perfect date. She acts as like his chauffeur for the night, things like that. As you would predict, well, I won't spoil anything. But
yeah, if you've seen any of these films,
if you've seen any movie ever, you know where this is going.
You know how it's going to end.
That's the basic plot of the movie. Myself, I consider it actually John Hughes' best film, even though he didn't direct it. Although there's some evidence that he kind of shadow directed it, kind of like George Lucas with the Star Wars movies, where he was really kind of in charge. But anyway, I still consider my favorite John Hughes movie. I think that it's the funny moments are very funny. I think the dramatic moments I find very touching. It hit me really kind of the perfect time in my life. I was kind of just the right age. I wasn't quite their age. I was a couple years younger, but still, the first time I saw it, I was in high school, and it just really, really kind of hit home with me, and I really enjoyed the relationships in it. What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, when I finally saw what the movie was about, I was just like, okay. I had to study John Hughes movies last year for a match, but obviously I didn't watch this one because it was directed John Hughes. I like John Hughes. I mean, I love Ferris Bueller, Home Alone, all those. But I also think that his teen films are kind of hit and miss. Mm-hmm. I'm not one of those people that think The Breakfast Club is one of the best things ever. I think it's very over the top. Kind of ridiculous at points. I think it's kind of overrated, but it's still.
Well, it's one of the things I think with Breakfast Club, especially. I mean, and Breakfast Club says this right up front: is that these are kind of the stereotypes, the characters, the geek, the beauty queen, kind of like that. Well, whereas this one, I thought the characters were all felt more real, like relatable.
Maybe not so. But no, I always thought that Breakfast Club was kind of like very stage play like.
I can see that.
Like, overacted, like smoke them again, John. I was like, oh my god. Come on, like you're so overacting the hell out of this. And we're not talking about Breakfast Club. We're talking about Some Kind of Wonderful. I will agree with you on all the characters being realistic except for one, and that is Eric Stoltz Keith, who is a borderline stalker and just it's like the Joker and Batman. You're one bad day away in your life. I think Eric Stoltz is one bad day away from potentially turning into a serial killer.
I still think he feels like a real character, but he's definitely very stalkerish. Yeah, I will absolutely.
It's literally him hiding behind, like, what was that, a telephone? I think it was a telephone pole. He's literally kind of hiding behind one scene and just watching Leah Thompson say goodbye to her boyfriend after they've had sex, literally, because we see him hooking up at the end. And it's just like, okay, that's creepy. And he has like this like emotional blank slate 90% of the film. It's not a good performance by him, but it's believable in a sense that I understand what he's going through. But they literally give him the least amount of lines to say in this movie. Like everyone kind of talks around Eric Stoltz.
Well, and you know what's funny about that is Eric Stoltz basically signed on to a different movie. They had a different director. John Hughes had written it. There's some other director came on to direct it. They basically tried to rewrite a bunch of it. They wanted to make it more serious and kind of darker and weird. And that's what Eric Stoltz wanted to do because that's what Eric Stoltz does. Because he did the same with Back to the Future. He signed on for this movie, did a way darker version than they wanted, and they're like, "Yeah, we need to replace you." This one, they brought John Hughes ended up being like, "No, we're going to bring in this other guy to direct it to kind of bring back the more lightheartedness to it." But you could tell that Eric Stoltz was kind of like, "I'm in a different movie," but I still think he works. I like the character. I mean, I don't like the character, but he's a good character in the movie, and I still just love it as much as I did the first time I saw it.
Well, like what also was throwing me off was that like I felt like Eric Stoltz looked a lot like Danny Noonan from Caddyshack in this. Like, was it Michael O'Keefe's character?
I don't see it, but okay.
I think he's the main character. He's the main kid in Caddyshack, isn't he?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Like I got this. Like I was like with his like the red hair, kind of wavy.
Maybe
like that. But
I'm sure you'll bring up a picture of it right now. So.
I literally pulled it up real quick just so I could show it. But I don't know if I'll pull up still. If I do, it'll be right here. But no, it's just like Stoltz's performance is really, to me, like he's kind of like Ethan Embry, Can't Hardly Wait, even though this was made like 8 years later. Mm-hmm. But Ethan Embry, to me, has kind of more balls in Can't Hardly Wait. Like he really goes for it, whereas like Eric Stoltz is like kind of stumbles into it. I really feel like he's like had he not been there. Because even as she's having the fight with the boyfriend, he's like stalkerishly off in the corner watching.
Well, I think I felt like that was kind of it. It wasn't like he had this grand plan. I think he saw an opportunity and took it.
But he was still just standing out like in the street, just watching. Yeah.
He's definitely a creeper. He's definitely a creeper.
This whole movie, and I think that's also what happens with Ducky. Isn't that in Pretty in Pink? Ducky's like basically borderline stalker. Outside of Eric Stoltz, Leah Thompson, I think, does a great job in the film because she adds more layers. She's like, yes, she's the pretty like head teenager, but she adds so many more layers to the character, showing that she's more than that. And I think those moments where she tries to break the mold of being the head cheerleader, I think are some of the best scenes of the movie. And I think Mary Stuart Masterson as Watts. I love how they try to make her look unattractive. She's a gorgeous woman, but it's like, let's really cut her hair and put leather jackets and jean shorts on her and make her a drum. Like, she looks.
I thought it made her more attractive.
Yeah, like you just made her hotter. Like, I'm sorry. Like, she's a woman.
And besides that, I thought, acting wise, I thought she was the VIP of the movie.
Oh, she's great. Like, I loved her mannerisms. I loved how she just was like kind of this spunky best friend who just gave Keith shit 90% of the time. I'm sorry. Like, that's a girl that I would fall for.
And then you could see, like, on the date that she's driving for, how she was kind of getting bitter. You could kind of see her turning as the day went on. Where she's kept taking jabs at him the whole time.
Oh, like, yeah.
He brings her out a doggy bag of food when they leave a restaurant. She's like, "Oh, thanks. Eating and driving, that's about as convenient as skiing and doing your taxes." So,
like, she's got some great lines in the movie. And I also want to talk about. I don't want to forget him, Eli Coteas.
Elias Koteas.
Koteas, as like the bully. Who's not really a bully? He's like the scary biker guy.
So Eric Stoltz's character Keith basically gets sent to detention, and he ends up kind of meeting these guys, a bunch of typical like tough guy detention.
He's in the movie before that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying how he came to know him, but but that's how he basically gets aligned with these characters. But yeah, go ahead, sir.
I think he's great in this. Every time he was on screen, I was like, yeah, more of a what's his character name in the movie? He's Skinhead. That's really his name is Skinhead in the movie.
Yeah, they never address him by name.
Oh wow, that's sad. But I love Skinhead in the movie. I think he's great. Like I actually really like that actor in pretty much everything he's in for the most part. So yeah, he's someone I didn't want to forget to mention because every time he was on screen, I really liked it. I didn't like in the very very end third act where him and Eric Stoltz both go.
I love that movie.
Oh god, it's such a bad scene. It's such a bad scene.
Come on.
So it's so like, let's throw a wacky face in here, guys. And I hated that moment. But nonetheless, like I said, outside Eric Stoltz's character, and like I said, Leah Thompson, I think does great. Mary Stuart Masterson, I think does great, and so does Elias. It's Elias, right?
Elias Coteas, yeah. And then John Ashton as his dad.
I'm okay with that performance.
It's like the scenes between them too. Like,
yeah,
where's the fucking money, Keith?
Also, DJ Tanner is the little sister. Like,
I totally forgot about that.
Cameron, or Candace Cameron Bure.
Candace Cameron, yeah.
Yeah, she's the little sister, and like even her little lines, like I kind of like was like, that's a choice that they're making with this daughter, but they're not giving her enough scenes for that to really matter.
Well, I think she wasn't anybody at the time. It was just
it was
a young girl actress they brought in.
You know what she was basically doing? She was basically doing Macaulay Culkin and Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was, except younger. It worked because it was way before. It was like before I think 2 years before Full House, or maybe right around Full House time. But no, I mean, my only real issue I had with it, because like I said, I actually enjoyed it for the most part, and we talked about this. I'm not a big fan of how the third act went. I think that it could have been written a little bit better, a little bit stronger. I don't hate it. Like I like it got to the ending that I think everyone wants. But I just think that it could have been a little bit stronger with the third act. I'm not going to explain what happens because that's a 15-minute conversation that we can get into some other
Plus,
time.
you should go watch it for yourselves anyway.
Exactly. Plus, it's spoiler-esque. It's very like you're watching and you're like, there's a whole lot going on here that you have to have a lot of pieces fall perfectly, which it's a movie, so they naturally do. But it's like that's not the way life works. It's like that, like to get to this point, like that like honestly, that's probably not how that would have happened. It probably would have the inevitable outcome of the movie that probably would have happened like 6 weeks later.
Right.
6 months later. It wouldn't have happened the same night. I'm calling that crap right now. That would have been a 6 weeks to 6 months later issue. But it's a movie. You gotta do what you gotta do. But Something Wonderful. Like once again, Brian pitches me something that I'm like, I don't want to watch it. And I actually quite enjoyed. This was not The Vanishing situation.
No.
Where we got Kiefer Sutherland playing hacky sack. I'm never gonna let that go. In the yellow sweater. But no, Some Kind of Wonderful it's really solid, especially if you like John Hughes type of.
It's kind of the forgotten John Hughes one. A lot of people just think of the main ones and kind of forget about this one. Probably because he didn't direct it, but it's really as good or better than most of his other ones.
You know, I really like Leah Thompson in this and Mary Stuart Masterson. They are definitely the standouts, and you can just kind of deal with Eric Stoltz. I don't believe this is on. Was it on Prime?
It's on Prime and Hulu right now.
Yeah, it's on Prime. I watched it on Prime. That's right. So Prime and Hulu, you guys can watch it for free if you want some nice 80s nostalgia, John Hughes-esque type films. Definitely check out Some Kind of Wonderful. You will not be disappointed.
Speaking of disappointed.
Speaking of disappointed, we are now going to the stinker. I remember we were fighting pretty hard on the stinker this week. You wanted Gods of Egypt.
I did want Gods of Egypt.
And I wanted this. I had not seen this, but I knew it was I knew it was bad. It was one of those things where I knew it was so bad, I really wanted to see it, and this was the only way I was going to get myself to sit down and watch it, was to make it our stinker. Whereas Gods of Egypt, I also have not seen.
Yeah,
but
you showed me a clip of it, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I showed you a clip of like, this is why this movie's bad. And you're like, okay, we're watching this. And that is the video game film, if we want to call it that, because it's not.
We'll get into that.
The Legend of Chun-Li, which came out February 26, 2009, had a budget of $50 million, had a weekend opening of $4.7 million, which was number 8 behind Madea Goes to Jail in its second week, The Jonas Brothers, the 3D concert experience in its first week, Slumdog Millionaire in its 16th week, Taken in its 5th week, He's Just Not That Into You in its 4th week, Paul Blart Mall Cop in its 7th week, Coraline in its 4th week, finished with a box office of $12.7 million, $8.7 million domestic, $4 million international. Yeah, I love Street Fighter, the video game. I remember pumping so many quarters into the bowling alley arcade for Street Fighter 2, just like I did with Mortal Kombat. Then they came out with the 1994 Street Fighter film. I don't hate it. It's bad. It is. I'm not going to defend it and say that it's good, but I enjoy it. Raul Julia's Bison is great. Jean-Claude Van Damme is totally not Guile in that movie, but I mean, I'm fine with it. This is not that. This movie, I think, shouldn't even call itself Street Fighter, because and Brian and I both agreed, if you take the names of the characters and give them any other name, there's nothing else that correlates this to a Street Fighter film except for the tacked on ending that they do at the end of this film. This movie is bad. It is bad, but there's a difference between bad boring and bad comical, and it toes a fine line, and it is on bad comical all because of the amazing charismatic performance of the one Chris Klein. Honestly, I think if it had not been for Chris Klein, I wouldn't have pushed so hard to watch this movie. I wouldn't have pushed you, Brian, to watch this movie. It had not been for Chris Klein. Brian, just tell me, how great was Chris Klein in Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li?
I believe my exact words were, "This movie needs more Chris Klein," because
we literally were watching it, and we're watching. I'm like, why is Chris Klein on screen? And then every time I was like, Chris Klein, Chris Klein.
I'm like looking away, but something else. And he's like, Chris Klein's like, what? Yes. Because I mean, the movie, like you said, it kind of, you have to toe the line between just kind of boring bad and hilarious bad, and most of the hilarious bad came from Chris Klein. I mean, he's not been known as a great, thespian or anything, but in this movie especially, it's like anytime he tried to be serious, he'd squint every time he said a line, and he would over-enunciate all his words every time he talked. And then when he tried to be serious, it like, most people know him as Oz from American Pie, and a lot of times when he wasn't squinting and talking all serious, he seemed like he was Oz trying to pretend to be a cop, and it was just a very strange dynamic, and it was quite a horrible acting performance. As far as the rest of the movie, I mean, like he was talking about, it's Street Fighter in name only. The thing is, when you take a video game that's based around a tournament and you make a movie and you take out the tournament and it's just like a couple of characters going on whatever their general adventure is, it doesn't feel anything like the game at all. Even in the video games, when like Mortal Kombat tried to make like some spin-off games where it was like a couple of characters on an adventure, those didn't do well because people are like, this isn't Mortal Kombat. Same thing here. If you don't call the characters Chun-Li and M. Bison and all those people, it's just any other movie. And really, I had to check. I was surprised this actually got released to theaters, much less made $12 million, because it seems like exactly the kind of movie that would have gone straight to video.
It's bad. I mean, and what made it more sad is that because I think everyone, for the most part, enjoys the original Mortal Kombat. I think a lot of people were like, it's not great, but for what it was.
That's where most people, including myself, stand. It's like, it's not a great movie, but I enjoy it.
Decent. That Liu Kang from there is in this, and they don't utilize him at all in this movie. Is it Robin?
Shower show, I can pronounce it, but yeah, I think they just wanted his name on the cast.
I think it was more or less like, if we put him in this, people who love Mortal Kombat will come and watch.
That's absolutely what it was.
And he kind of basically plays like kind of like the Raiden kind of character. He's not like the God of Thunder or anything, but he's kind of like the mentor character. But like near the end of the movie, it's kind of like you're basic. Like there's nothing really great. Like, and then they do this whole tease through the whole movie that they're teaching like this like light orb,
the energy ball that he can summon. Which, first of all, when he starts to do it right in,
let's talk about Kristen first before we start bringing up that part. Because the lead is Kristen
Crook, I believe it's pronounced.
Which, I mean, we mentioned her last week in Euro Trip. She's got a small part in that, but most people know her from Smallville, or she was on the CW's Beauty and the Beast, which to me was a horrible show. She's not a great actress. She's not. I mean, I'm not going to defend her. She's not a great actress. But to put her in the main focal point as Chun-Li, which the original Street Fighter had
Ming-Na Wen.
Yeah, Ming-Na Wen, who's great, but she's criminally underutilized in that film. Had it been like by today's standards, she would have been like, honestly, they could have casted her in this as older, like as she is today, and she would have killed this performance. Kristen Crook is not good in this film. They try to make her overly angry, and she just looks constipated the entire time, like, and I was just like, she just needs to take a shit. Like, she does not look good. She's
there's a scene where she's supposed to be kind of seducing this other woman, and she's still making that I gotta take a shit.
Yes, we were gonna get to that point, but like before we go to that, because that's a whole conversation. First off, they try to make her angry and mean looking the entire time, and she just looks constipated. She's one of the ugliest criers I've ever seen. There are two scenes where she cries, and she just like, I'm gonna post a picture. I'm not gonna try to impersonate it. Here's a picture of her crying. It is awful. It is awful. It's not believable, and it just makes you uncomfortable watching her try to pull it off. Her fight scenes are also. I remember the first fight scene. You're like, that wasn't that bad choreographed. I go, no, that was awful. I was like, that was horrible.
It wasn't as bad as I expected, I guess is what I should have said.
Oh, it's so bad. from someone who knows how to do choreography for fighting, it was horribly put together, and it's a piece of dog shit. And then when she does do Chun-Li moves, it looks even more ridiculous. But yes, then there's the one scene in the club where I guess she's trying to get information from this one woman, and this one woman's just she's got bodyguards all around her and stuff, and I guess she tells them like she wants to be alone so she can hit on a girl because I guess she's a lesbian. You just kind of have to walk into that because randomly they just start showing like just random shots of random girls in the club, and it just stays on them for too long.
And I'm not sure how Kristen Crook or Chun-Li is supposed to know that she would be attracted to women. I don't know.
Or even how Chun-Li knows who she is for the most part. But nonetheless, Chun-Li just kind of walks into the middle of the crowd and just looks at her mean-wise, and that's supposed to attract this girl. And then they put on the most awkward dance. Like it's just like this body pumping the whole time.
You ever seen Elaine's really bad full body dry heave dance from Seinfeld? It's kind of that.
Yeah, it's so awkward. I'm like, and I remember Brian and I were like, is this supposed to be sexy? Like, is this supposed to turn the other one on? And then they both go to the bathroom, and we paused this scene and we wound it because Brian, take it away. Like,
they engage in this bathroom fight scene, which. It's not exactly Mission Impossible follow. Let's just say that it's not even True Lies. It's I've seen worse fight scenes, but it's what it is. But the problem, our biggest problem that we had to rewind several times, was that they're fighting and they're like knocking, like one of them knocks the other one into one of the stalls and stuff, and regular stall door and stuff, and you can see all the doors next to it, all regular stall doors. And then all of a sudden they go under into the next stall.
Chun-Li climbs over.
It's over. That's right. And then they end up kicking her out through the stall door, but suddenly it glass apparently just shatters. It's glass, and it's not like it's supposed to have shattered like they shattered metal. It's clearly glass shattering. Like, wait, was that a glass door before? Nope.
No, we were. I'm like, that just seemed weird because why would you have glass doors in a bathroom? And we rewound it, and no, it's a regular stall, like a regular metal stall. And Chun-Li, she's not special. It's not like she's got this superpower
kicks or anything. No,
she's a regular girl, but she kicks through this thing and it shatters like glass because it is glass. And then after that, we watch the rest of the doors. They're still regular doors because there's times where she gets thrown into them and it's like, okay, if she got thrown into glass, that glass would have cracked or broke, and it didn't because it's a regular.
Even you can see the texture of it. It is not glass.
Yeah, it's a regular metal door, but she kicks through it. It's just like. Oh my god!
I mean, but there was so many. There's the fight scenes like that. There's problems with. They talk about like she first arrives in Bangkok, and she.
She's a rich girl. So
basically, the movie starts out with her as Lara Croft. Okay, she had basically this rich father, but he's gone, apparently dead, and she's kind of this rich girl left for this thing, but then she ends up going to Bangkok, and. So she immediately sees some guy getting beat up by like 4 thugs, and then later on sees one person in the market get held up at gunpoint, and she's like, "Oh, crime is so rampant, and there's no penalty for it, and the city is awful, and somebody's got to do something about it." But then like she goes and decides to sleep on the streets. This attractive woman sleeping in the corner on the street. Nobody bothers her, nobody touches her, nobody even steals her money that she has, but apparently isn't going to spend. And it's just like, what is going on in this movie?
I'm not going to say what I wanted to say because we can't say that. But yes, it's very unbelievable that an attractive woman like her in this film, in a crime overran Bangkok.
Which apparently the overriding of crime was just these 4 thugs wandering.
Anytime they showed crime, it was just the same 4 dudes.
Yeah.
That she's able to sleep on the street or sleep under an overpass or what have you. When she has fucking money to fucking get a hotel room. She
decides she has to live without these things.
Yeah.
But she decides she is told she has to live without these things and kind of give up these things, but she still has the money on her. It's like at one point she goes up to this person like who's serving food, and of course she's all sweaty and dirty because she's apparently been sleeping outside for a day.
Yeah.
And she kind of looks like she's like hungry and homeless, and so the woman goes to give her the food and she goes, "Oh, okay." And she pulls out her money to pay her, and the woman's like, "No, I don't want your money." It's like, you have the money.
What do you have? How does your business work, lady? like that's a horrible business structure. But yeah, no, she doesn't ever get bothered at all. Sleeping on the streets, like I'm sorry, I'm not to go dark, but in today's climate, there's no way that would ever happen. She'd get messed.
She never even gets harassed on the street.
No, doesn't. She starts everything. Like the guys, this random dude. Like now, what happened to the dude would make sense because that's good, but to her times 10. This random guy walks down an aisle or down an alley, and he just gets straight jumped and just gets beaten the crap out of. And she interjects like, "Hey, like, okay, Batwoman, you're not Batwoman, first off." But she can sleep on the side of the road and no one messes with her. But this dude's just walking down an alley, gets straight jacked by 4 dudes. And then, like I said, the choreography is horrible. And then she finally meets Robin Chu's character, who's Jen. And he teaches her the art of street fighting. I don't know. But he shows her this light ball. You know, which anyone from Street Fighter is probably like Hadouken or something. We don't ever actually get to hear them say because
she doesn't even blink an eye. Oh, you can summon energy balls. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's summoning this energy ball behind her, and she's just like, okay. I'm like, no, that's
it's like Chad from Saturday Night Live. Just okay,
cool, ball. It's like she's just like, oh, I see this every day of my life. No, you don't. It isn't until he throws the ball into a wall and the wall basically explodes that she finally was like, oh, I'm like, yeah, that face. That's the face you should have had the entire fucking time. She's not a good actor. She's very wooden. She doesn't know how. And then I don't want to attack him because I love this guy. Neil McDonough plays Bison, and you were on him from scene.
Okay. Neil McDonough, good actor. I like him in everything he does. I like him. He doesn't do a lot of great movies, but when he does, he's small parts.
I love the guy.
Okay, my biggest problem with him, and I just find it very distracting. Okay, so he starts talking in the movie, and you think nothing of it, but then later on, in like the next scene, I'm like, wait, is he throwing a little bit of Irish accent in there? So I'm listening, like, there's definitely a little bit of Irish brogue in there. And so, you know, I'm listening, following the story, and oh yeah, the character's supposed to be he was born to Irish missionaries. But then they have this whole scene where they explain that he was born to Irish missionaries, abandoned as an infant, and then and so he just grew up on the streets of Bangkok.
Yeah.
So he grew up on the streets of Bangkok. Where did he get this accent from? He has not been around Irish people since he was born, essentially.
Like, you don't keep the accent if you're not around other Irish people. Like that doesn't happen. Like,
and it didn't serve a purpose. That I mean, Neil McDonough normally talks with no accent, so it wasn't like he had to use the accent. It was a choice to give him this Irish accent for no reason whatsoever, and so that distracted me. But I mean, other than that, I mean, Neil McDonough did what he could with the role, but just that distracted me so much.
There was one scene, and it was a flashback scene where something happens, and we both go, "What?"
That scene. They still, to this day, I've finished watching the movie, I still have no idea what the point of that scene was, and that whole plot point.
We really whipped it mid-movie. Just like maybe we weren't paying attention. We're like, nope, still no reason why they would do that, or why.
End of the movie, still don't know why they did that.
What was hilarious with the whole thing was that as this was happening, I go, watch him do this. And that was a joke. I wasn't being serious. Like
literally, on cue, he said that, and boom.
It was like, what the fuck? Like, there's no reason for that. And it's just, oh god, this movie's not good. And Moon Bloodgood, she's also in it, and Michael Clark Duncan. Both of them are sadly underutilized. I feel bad that both of them are in this movie. But Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas, he makes an appearance as Vega, which Vega personally is one of my favorite Street Fighter characters.
I guess they chose him because he had the long hair?
I guess, but they build Vega up to be like this killing machine. And then he like starts a fight with Chun-Li and she dominates him in like
completely overdubbed voice that was not Taboo's.
Yes. He's basically talking very deep and dark and rah, rah. And she takes him out in 15 seconds. No more Vega. I'm like, she's not that good of a fighter, guys. Like, Vega's a mercenary who, like, assassin. And she takes him out in 15 seconds. I'm like, first off, they do Vega dirty in the original Street Fighter 2, which pisses me off. But it's like, come on, guys. Like, you didn't build this guy up just to, like, get murked in 15 seconds. Like, and then you never see him again. And, like, there's another part where, like, the girl that she beats up in the club, like, next scene, like, Bison's beating the crap out of somebody. We're like, is that the girl? And we're like, I guess.
And again, I checked the wiki and go, yep, that was the girl.
He kills the girl that she beats up in the bathroom, and like you never see her face. but he's just like full on punching. Like we think he's a punching bag, and no, it's the girl.
She had also apparently changed her dress first, though. So.
Exactly, she changed her clothes too. It's just, it's bad. But then they tack it on at the end because none of this makes it a Street Fighter movie. Not to mention that the light ball, like you build up the light ball the entire film, and then you finally use it. And it's like, okay,
you're like, oh, that was it. Okay, cool.
And then the way they end the fight, like I literally threw my hand like bullshit. That would never happen. There's no way that. And like that point, Brian's like, "What do you expect?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's bullshit. It's bullshit." And at the end of the movie, they finally bring in Street Fighter with a newspaper article going, Street Fighter tournament. Let's do it.
Here, for the sequel that's never going to happen.
Exactly. It's, oh, God, it's bad.
Although, that's not the first thing I brought in Street Fighter, because in the club scene, there was a song going, Street Fighter, Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. And I was like, are they playing a Street Fighter song? And sure enough, subtitles, Street Fighter, a Street Fighter. And it's just like, oh my God.
Why would they be singing that in the club?
It's so bad. It's so bad. But it's not as bad.
Might as well have been singing Ninja, Ninja, rap.
We just got done watching Turtles.
Not me, yeah.
Me, yeah. But yeah, it's not as bad as Stop My Mom Will Shoot. It's not as bad as 50 Shades of Black, but it's right there.
I think it's as bad as Stop My Mom Will Shoot, but this one at least was fun thanks to Chris Klein, but not enough of Chris Klein.
Yeah. M. Bison is the leader of the Shanalao, and he's taking over. Bang!
And he would be just talking about, like, he'd be figuring out a plot and be getting angry about it. Like, I love that
we spent like 20 plus minutes talking about this movie. Street Fighter is The Legend of Chun-Li is not on any streaming service.
I had to pay to rent this for this damn show. The things I do for you people.
Yeah. We did. Brian totally paid.
I tried to track down. I'm like, oh, I can buy a used disc for like, $3.50. I'm like, I'm not going to pay that much for it, and then I'm having to pay like $3 to rent it anyway.
It was not. Anyway, it's not on.
Venmo to.
Yeah, if you want to send us some money, or the Brian I'm Sorry Fund for watching this movie for us.
Yeah.
Brian will leave his Venmo. No, he won't. You'll get hacked. But anyway. We're going to go to our next movie, which is our feature film, which is a movie that, once again, Brian and I both went, yes, and picked it. And that is the 2010 horror thriller, The Crazies. The Crazies came out February 26, 2010, had a budget of $20 million. I'm trying to not cough. Nope, that didn't work. Had a weekend opening of $16.06 million, was number 3 behind Shutter Island in its third week, and Cop Out in its first week. Finished with a box office of $54.8 million, $39.1 million domestic, $15.68 million international. Obviously, The Crazies has our boy, our fan club for Timothy Oliphant is in this. We huge Oliphanters in this bitch.
Okay.
There's got to be a name for Oliphant fans. Brian, take it away. I need to try to stop coughing.
Well, Crazies obviously is a remake of a George A. Romero movie from 70s, maybe early 80s. I'm not sure exactly when. It's not really a zombie film. It's more like 28 Days Later, in that it's basically people are getting this illness where they kind of basically all turn into these primal creatures that are attacking people. They're just all rage kind of thing. Timothy Oliphant is the sheriff in this small town, and first of all, I love the way this movie starts out. It's just right in the movie, like there's a baseball game, and all of a sudden this one dude comes out, and he's the first person they see with the virus, and just kind of jumps right into the movie. So I love that. But this small town, they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea where it came from. That's part of the mystery they try and uncover as the movie goes on. But mostly it just becomes survival. It becomes more and more people are turning. Eventually the military is trying to quarantine the area, and there's people trying to escape, things like that. But it's essentially like a zombie film, but it's very character driven, because you're basically following Oliphant and his wife and a couple other people who are trying to basically stay alive, who are trying to stay uninfected and to escape. Yeah, you want to go into your thoughts first? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, like what Brian said, it's a virus, but it's military made, and basically a plane crashes there. No one knew about it. No one saw because it crashed in like
it crashed a ways away, but it's their water source that flows into town.
Exactly. So it got in the water, and it hit these families first who got infected, and then it's effectively them fighting the virus as well as fighting the military to try to get out of their small town in, I think it's Iowa. And Oliphant does a great job. The rest of the cast, you got Danielle,
Panabaker.
You got Joe Anderson
from Friday the 13th, which you talked about recently.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And we also got Radha Mitchell, who plays Judy, Oliphant's wife in the movie. I mean, they're really the only ones to really talk about. It's basically that 4-person cast. But it's. I remember the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, I think I was expecting more than what I got out of the film. But watching it the second time, I definitely appreciated it a lot more. Just the levels that it built on, and the fear factor, like the car wash scene. That car wash scene was really well done.
That got me was the scene. I want to say was it in a school or makeshift hospital or something? Where the guy comes with a pitchfork.
Oh, no, it's the quarantine. It's the quarantine zone.
Yeah, where there's basically one of the effects is inside. He just starts like killing people, and they're all like tied down and stuff. And it's the cover shot from the main poster is the guy driving the pitchfork. In that scene, the tension in that is perfect.
This movie does a fantastic job of building the tension up, and especially when we get deeper and deeper into the film, and they progressively start getting sicker, and one of the main characters really starts to kind of turn, and you're just waiting for the shoe to drop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to happen. And inevitably to the big ending, where they I'm not going to say what happens, but when that happens, you're like, ooh.
That scene, yeah.
Like, all right, and then the inevitable end where it's like, oh shit. But everyone puts on a really solid performance in this. The gore, I think, is done really well in what we see. But the performances all around. I know we only mentioned those 4 because they're the 4 mains, but everyone in the film, I think, actually does a really good job building suspense, building thriller. Like I said, there are just scenes like you said, the scene in the hospital. Well, it's not really I think it's the high school, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of like a makeshift hospital because they had people on gurneys and stuff. And that's why I thought that.
The car wash scene, the farm scene, even the initial scene with the second
truck stop is the.
No, I'm talking about the second scene of the film on the farm with when the guy that got infected.
Yeah.
Like just that scene in general was like, there are some like rough scenes, but we're saying rough in like the best.
That's why I like this movie. Did not pull punches.
It did not. It went to one spot where like. And I think in horror movies now, they probably wouldn't have gone that far. Now, granted, this is only like 10 years old. But, I mean, I think they they would have been saved. Or someone would have came and stopped them or something like that. But in this movie, like, nope, that ain't happening. Like, this is going to happen. You're going to have to sit here. Like, honestly, it's a very, well, I wouldn't say it's on the same wavelength of Dr. Sleep, where you're kind of having to sit there and watch it. Because that one makes you sit there and relish in what happened.
This isn't quite the same level of Dr. Sleep, but I see the same idea, yeah.
You're like, oh, these people are going to get saved. And they're like, no, they're not.
Nope.
Not happening. You might as well just accept that this is going to happen now. But it's really well done. And then you got the the truck stop scene. I thought was probably like the big boss fight at the end of the thing. But once again, they do everything really well. It's shot beautifully. Just some of the decisions made by the director, the way they shot it, the way they hit the light and the color and everything, and the way they did the kind of almost the sneak up jobs. Because there's the one scene in the nursery where you just like it's a jump scare without being a jump scare. You know what I mean? And then the truck stop as well. They do a real good job of framing this stuff to keep you on the edge of your seat. I know we're kind of talking around things. We're not trying to give stuff away, which is fine because this movie deserves to be. If you guys have never seen The Crazies, this movie deserves to be watched without kind of prior knowledge of the stuff that happens. Like I know we're mentioning locations of scenes in the movie. Just know that when that scene happens, shit's about to get real. But
pretty much every location they go to, shit gets real eventually. So
pretty much. But yeah, The Crazies is really really good. Timothy Oliphant, leading man. He doesn't always make the best acting choices in terms of picks of movies, but I think he did a really great job of picking The Crazies. Oliphant, he's a likable character. He's a likable actor in everything that he's in. So you definitely root for his character in this throughout the film, as well as the 3 others that are with him. But yeah, no, The Crazies is a really, really good horror film.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about how the first time you saw it, you didn't quite like it as much as when you rewatched it. The first time I saw this movie, I loved it. Like I said, there's so many movies that are all about jump scares, things like that. There's certainly those in this movie, but this one I thought was so much better at creating tension and stuff that you felt engaged at the entire movie, beginning to end. Like I said, Timothy Olyphant, I think, is the best actor in here, and he's doing a great job. I was surprised because I was looking at the director, Breck Eisner, and really, other than this, he hasn't had a lot of success. He did Sahara, which wasn't very well. Last Witch Hunter, which I enjoyed but did not do well, and that's pretty much it. But it surprised me because he did such a great job with the atmosphere created here.
Yeah, it's a really solid film. We enjoyed it quite a bit. Is it on anything?
This one is available.
Was it a Prime also?
It's on Prime. Also, actually, it's Hoopla, if you know, or Roku channel. Yeah.
I remember when we watched this, it only had like a week left on Prime. I think it actually leaves.
So when you see this, might still be there.
Yeah, it might be on there for another day or two. So it's actually leaving Prime, and then
or it might jump to something else.
You said it was on something else, right? Did you say it was on something else, or was it only Prime?
Hoopla and the Roku channel.
Gotcha. So yeah, so you only have like a day or two, maybe, to watch it on Prime and then watch it elsewhere. But definitely check out The Crazies. It is a great horror film or thriller film, however you want to call it. I call it more thriller than horror, but nonetheless, it's a great film. Definitely check it out. Going to our last film, it is our Revisited. This is one of the ones that we're going to try to defend because it did not.
I don't feel I need to defend it.
I think I do because a lot of people bash this movie. I think a lot of people rate this movie unfairly, and I know we're probably already building it up, and everyone's like, "No, that movie sucked," but we like it. And that is the sequel. I'm not gonna call it a sequel, but it's the second outing. Is it the second outing?
No, Beer Fest was second.
No, this was before Beer Fest.
Was it?
Yeah, this was before. This was right after.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right.
The second outing of the Broken Lizard Gang. That is 2004's Club Dread. Club Dread came out February 27th, 2004, had a budget of $8.55 million, had a weekend opening of $3 million, which was number 10 behind Passion of the Christ in its first week. Don't get me started on that movie. 50 First Dates in its third week, Twisted in its first week, Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen in its second week, Dirty Dancing Havana Nights in its first week, Miracle in its fourth week, Eurotrip, my movie from last week in its second week, Welcome to Mooseport in its second week, and Barbershop 2 Back in the Business in its fourth week. Had a finished box office of $7.56 million, $5 million domestic, and $2.56 million international. Now, obviously, Broken Lizard came out swinging with Super Troopers, and everyone loved it, thought it was hilarious. This group of guys putting on funny comedy stuff, so they decided to do the horror route with Club Dread. And I think why it's unfairly judged is everyone's expecting this to basically be as good as Super Troopers, and it's not. I'll admit that it's not as good as Super Troopers, but the problem is that they had such a high pedestal of anticipation put upon them with Super Troopers that Club Dread was just not going to reach it. It just wasn't. So by the time when Beer Fest came out, everyone's expectations were already so low after Club Dread that Beer Fest was considered really good, which I actually think Beer Fest to me is the weakest one. I'm not as big a fan as Beer Fest as a lot of people are. And I think that's why Club Dread gets unfairly treated. I think Beer Fest or Club Dread, I love the characters in this. I think they're hilarious. Bill Paxton as kind of being the the Jimmy Buffett kind of character in this, I think works great. Basically, the plot is that like I said, Bill Paxton, he's basically like a Jimmy Buffett kind of character. He's wow, I'm blanking on his name.
Coconut Pete.
Coconut Pete. He basically like the pina colada and stuff like that. He's rich enough that he created his own pleasure island. And the Broken Lizard Gang all work on the island except for Kevin Heffernan's Lars. He's joining the island to work as the new masseuse. Everyone else is already on the island. And as he shows up, a murderous crazy person starts killing the workers on the island. So it becomes kind of a mystery to try to figure out who the killer is and can they survive until a boat comes to save the day. That's the basic general plot of Club Dread. You got some, like I said, you got all the Club Dread guys. You got, like I said, Kevin Heffernan. You've got Steve Lemmy. You got Jay. I'm gonna butcher this name.
Chandrasekhar.
Yeah, you got Paul Selter. You got Eric Stolhansky.
Stolhansky.
Yeah. Also, you got Brittany Daniel, Jordan Ladd, Lindsay Price. You got Sam Levy. You got Nate Faxon. You got all these other guys, and then of course Bill Paxton. On the as just patrons on the island. I think it's fun. I think it's funny. Steve Lemmy's character, Juan, is easily my favorite. I love Juan in this. The kills are good. Like, it's gory when it needs to be. It's not overly excessive, but I think it works. Is it stupid in certain points? Yes, it is. It's a Broken Lizard movie. Of course it is. But I think it's actually a really solid horror film, comedy horror film. And I'm not gonna lie. I would love to play that version of Pac-Man.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah.
Love to play Pac-Man because they do that. They have like a maze and they play It's like a drinking game of Pac-Man where you run around and girls in bikinis. Now, granted, if the girls are playing, you can have guys in Speedo thongs or whatever. They're chasing. You're the Pac-Man and you're chasing to get to like these. Is it like I'm assuming alcohol and lemon.
Yeah, and then they have people dressed up as like the giant fruits.
And they're running around, and then like the girls in the bikinis and the guys in the spears, they're the ghosts, and you get chased by them the whole time. It looks fun as hell. I so badly want to play this version of Pac-Man because it looks great. Brian, what are your thoughts on Club Dread?
I honestly didn't realize that this had a negative reputation because I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it. And like you, I think I still enjoy Beer Fest, but I definitely enjoy this one more than Beer Fest. The Club Dread guys. I'm sorry, the
Broken Lizard
guys. I actually really like them in pretty much everything they do. Like almost any comedy troupe when they do their movies, and especially within their movies, these comedy troupes tend to be like, joke a minute. Not every joke's going to hit. They're going to hit and miss. I mean, it's that way with them, with Saturday Night Live, with Monty Python, even with Kids in the Hall, with whoever, Wise Guys, name a comedy troupe. Their movies kind of like that. So not every joke's going to be hilarious, but it's just so many of them that 90% of them hit for me. I think it's very funny. I think the movie works as a horror movie. I think it works just fine. I think it works as a comedy. Like you, it makes me want to actually go to this island just because, but between, the hot women and just the parties and the games and stuff like that, it appeals to me that way. But yeah, I mean,
plus the killer's killing the workers. He's not effectively killing the patrons. I mean, some patrons do die, but it's more like accidental that they die. So if you leave visit, we're fine. We're safe.
But I mean, I really enjoyed the movie, and I thought Bill Paxton was great. I mean, he definitely kind of a supporting role, but he's kind of playing who he is. He's kind of the guy who's just kind of there, just he lets the people run the place. He's just kind of there, put his name on it. And it's kind of how he is in this movie too. It's like, hey, we wanted a big movie star in here. Like, yeah, Bill Paxton in our movie, and it works. But I thought he did great in this. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. I don't really have much more to say about it, but I enjoy it, and I don't think that deserves the negative reputation it's gotten.
Yeah, I love. There's so many little memorable lines in the movie. They're not. Penelope. I thought a go. Okay, I was lonely.
One of my favorite scenes is the campfire story. I'll say that.
With
I'll just leave it at that.
What's it called? Oh God, I can't remember the name of the.
And that person was me.
That person was me. You're a dick.
Damn it! I was good.
There's so many great lines in the movie. Yeah, like I said, Steve Lemmy's Juan. Steve Lemmy's my favorite Broken Lizard guy. He was my favorite in Super Troopers. He's my favorite in Club Dread. If you guys have never checked out their new show, Tacoma FD, it's I think it's pretty much all of them pop in at some point except for Jay, because Jay's directing and doing other things. But it's basically them as firefighters. It's a great show. It's hilarious. It's mainly Kevin Heffernan and Steve Lemmy.
Actually, Kevin Heffernan is usually one of my favorite guys. This one, he's still funny, but he's much more the straight man in this movie.
Straight man of like we makes himself think. Why don't you do that all the time? Is that a fat joke? But it's Club Dread. Like I said, I feel like it gets wrongfully justified because of Super Troopers, that it's not as good as Super Troopers, but it really is good. If you take it away from the Super Troopers film and just watch it as a comedy horror film, I think Club Dread's great. I mean, effectively, Brian and I, the name of our movie trivia group is Club Dread. Brian was wearing the hat. There it is. We are definitely Club Dread fans, and we definitely saw this on the docket. We're totally talking about Club Dread. Like, we're not gonna not talk about
we can't not talk about it.
Plus, the music is hilarious. Like they actually like wrote songs for it.
They wrote a bunch of Coconut Pete songs for him. Yeah.
Naughty Cow. Brittany Daniels solid in the film. I only really know her from Joe Dirt, but I think she's solid in it. And like I said, Jordan Ladd. She plays like I would say almost like Isla Fisher from Wedding Crashers. A little bit, yeah. But yeah, Club Dread. I don't think it was on any streaming services. I watched.
No, it's not right now. And I also I just wanted to mention I don't think I've ever watched it. You watched the unrated version, which has two whole characters that aren't the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I accidentally watched the unrated, and there's like 15 minutes of extra stuff, but it's mostly around these two detectives that randomly show up and start trying to solve the case, but they get killed off like right away.
Were they funny? Did it add anything to the movie?
It didn't add anything to the movie. They were just like,
good thing it was cut then.
They weren't even that funny. They just kind of showed up. It was right after the first killings after the night campfire when they were all trying to still work. I'm trying not to say who dies,
right?
But right after them, they just show up on a boat, and but their death is funny though. Their death is pretty funny, but
not worth watching the unrated cut.
No, it's not, because I mean they show up and they're kind of accusing everybody, and they're playing super serious in this film. But they treat because Eric Stolhansky, who plays Sam, he's the fun police. So they treat him like he's real police because his shirt says police on it, but it says fun. So that's the only funny thing about them, is that they treat him like he's real law enforcement because he wears a police shirt. But he literally is not at all. So that's where he starts to kind of take over as like, I'm gonna solve this murder. But yeah, they're only on there for like 15 minutes. It kind of takes away from the funniness of the film, which is probably why they pulled it from the original cut. So if you guys have a choice to watch the original or the uncut, definitely watch the original. There is nothing in the uncut that you really need to see that makes the movie better. It's just like I said, these added two characters that really bring nothing to the film overall. But it is not on any streaming service, but obviously you can rent it. Pretty much every movie is, for the most part, rentable nowadays. At least the ones that we talked about are rentable. But definitely check out Club Dread. If you're a fan of Broken Lizard, if you like Super Troopers and stuff like that, and you want to see a funny horror comedy with these five guys, definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed. Because, like I said, Coconut Pete for the win. I love Coconut Pete. But that is our show. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the Movie Crusaders. More episodes from Brian and I for the Weekend Crusaders, as long as also reviews. We actually do have a good chunk of movies coming out here in the next week. From this upcoming week to the rest of March, there's about at least like 5 or 7 movies that are going to be coming out. We got Tom and Jerry. We got Kong, or Godzilla versus Kong. We got Zack Snyder's Justice League. We got Cherry. Coming to America. We got Cherry. We got Chaos Landing. What's that?
Chaos Walking, I believe.
Chaos Walking. Sorry. And then there's another one. Boss Level. One of Brian's biggest picks of 2021. Boss Level comes out next week. Nobody, or Mr. Nobody. Raya and the Last Dragon. We have all those coming out here in the next month. I don't know if Brian's going to join me for those reviews because he doesn't like doing reviews. So it'll probably just be me. But Brian will definitely be here every Friday for the Weekend Crusaders. Next week's show. God, I'm really not looking forward to some of the movies we got to talk about next week's show, but they are the best.
A little action heavy.
It's very action heavy. I would say every movie's has got action in it in some form or fashion. One is a sequel of a beloved film that I love profusely. It's weird how much I love the first one. I'm okay with the second one. We're going to watch the second one.
I think it's better than the first one, or at least on par with it. Just saying.
Blasphemy, sir. That is blasphemy, and we will talk about that next week. Another one is a reboot that I utterly despise. I guess you can understand which one's the stinker for that. We have an all-time action classic that everyone loves. We've got a war movie that I don't think enough people know about. That's actually a really good film. Brian, you said you haven't seen this since it came out. So
I've seen it, but it's been, I remember almost nothing about it. So I'm going to have to rewatch that one.
that we're going to have to revisit and check out. But it's a war movie with a big name actor that not enough people have seen. And then we got a comic book movie that I would say is very divided. The movie is, not the TV series, but the movie is very divided. But those are the clues. We hope to see you guys here next week. And until next time, in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.